Welcome back, family, friends, and fans. Let's make a brick wall. So I'm making these 1/2 inch lines. They're actually horizontal lines, but I cut them vertically. And here I'm making marks for our vertical lines that we have to make. And then I just make them on both sides. And these are the vertical lines. I start with the 1 inch ones, and then I made longer lines to identify the 1/2 inch vertical lines. And so you just always have to skip one when you're making bricks. And I decided not to continue with the marker, and just once I got the hang of it, I started just cutting into the foam with my box cutter. Okay, so this is what we have so far. We did all of our cuts. The horizontal lines are 1/2 inch apart, and the vertical lines are alternating. The vertical lines are about 1 inch apart. And now our pencil. I don't want the pencil to be too sharp, but I do like to, I felt like sharpening it was better because it gave it some grit. I didn't want it to be very pointy, but I did want it to have some grit. And now you do your impressions, just going over all the lines. And this is going to allow the grout, whatever you're going to use for grout, it's going to allow it to go through these impressions that we're making. So we did all of our vertical impressions, and now we're going to go over horizontally. So for the wall that I'm doing, I'm going to be adding on some pieces to the wall. I guess some wall, I don't know what they call that, partition, or I don't know. But I had to make those parts brick as well. And as you can see, the lines that I marked are very helpful in getting everything accurate. So you just have to, anything that you're doing, it just has to all be in line. This was a lot of fun, a lot of work, but a whole lot of fun. So for this wall that I'm doing, I needed an extra 6 inches because the wall wasn't wide enough. So I'm just cutting it here. Keep in mind that when you're cutting XPS foam board or insulation board, whatever you want to call it, you want to go in a couple of times with your knife to keep scoring and going in and cutting in. You don't want to cut aggressively. To prime, we're going to mix gloss medium with Mars black acrylic paint. And I'm also going to add just a little bit of water because I don't want it to be so thick. My Mars black paint was really thick. I don't want it to get clumpy in between those gaps that we're going to be filling with grout. So now I got a nice thin finish, and it's going to prime this really nicely. Adding the gloss medium, you can also add Mod Podge or PVA glue with a little bit of water, and you can mix it with your color paint if you want, or you just can apply it clear. But that's going to allow you to put the color, and for the color to take nicely, and for none of that purple pinkish color to show. Now I'm just gonna save the excess and save it for another project, and we're gonna start mixing colors. So I have two separate bowls because I wanted to have two tones, and I also wanted to see how both of these worked. One bowl, the bowl to the left, has red, scarlet red, and Mars black mix. And the one on the right has vermilion hue and burnt umber mix. And out of both of them, I thought that the vermilion hue and the burnt umber worked really, really nicely. The scarlet red was good to kind of give a little bit of highlights. I wish I would have put a little bit of white in that one, just to give it a touch of a little more, so for it to pop. But it went on nicely. Unfortunately, the colors, I was not getting any kind of daylight for this, and it was dark, and I didn't have a lot of lighting set up, so you're not really getting the full look of the brick, but it definitely came out the way that I wanted. Purposefully being inconsistent with the colors and where I'm placing them, and just trying to create some shadows. Now I'm going back in with some highlighting with the other color, the scarlet red and the Mars black. And you really can't, you might not be able to tell the difference, but I can see the difference. And I just wanted to make sure that I got all these inconsistencies nicely. I had forgotten to do this texturizing trick, which is crumbling up some aluminum foil and then just kind of rolling it all over the foam board. I forgot to do that. I was supposed to do it prior to all this painting, and I am doing it now. Yes, more highlights. I just wanted to keep going over it. I didn't want the brick to get lost in the black. So I really wanted things to kind of come out a little bit more and pop. And when you put a black as your base, it definitely sets a tone. And although I did want distressed bricks, I didn't want it too distressed. So we're gonna start spackling. I got my spackle. I've had this actually for years, but it's been sealed tightly, so it's still in good condition. And I put some of my Mars black in there, and we're mixing it up to make a nice gray. I didn't want the grout to be white. For me, working with my hands is going to be way easier, so I'm gonna do this with my hands because it's just easier. But as you can see, and then I added a little more white. I just wanted it to be a little lighter than the way that for the next batch I'll make it a little lighter. And I'm using an old gift card. And so here's another step that I missed. I was supposed to prime all of this first, and so here I stopped there and I started priming everything else. And what I'm gonna do with that part that I put grout without priming, I'm just gonna wipe it down as much as I can, and then wipe it down with a damp cloth, dry it up, and then put the varnish. I'm using Liquitex gloss varnish, and I have to be honest with you, nothing became glossy. It just kind of ate it all up. So now I'm just cleaning that up because I got a little hasty, and I cleaned it up. Now I'm letting everything dry. I put the glaze on it, so while I'm working on this, I'm glazing that up, and that's gonna dry up, and then I'll tackle that part. But this is really easy, and you just use the card to press down all the grout, and it'll go in between the grooves that we created with the pencil. I tried it with a pen. I tried it with even a colored pencil, and it doesn't work. For me, the wood on the number 2 pencil, freshly sharpened, kind of like with a blunt sharpener, not like a really good one, but like a blunt one that's like cheap or doesn't work, is great because it'll give it some grit to the pencil. And yeah, super happy with the way that everything is turning out. And just 2 tips. The first tip, do not wipe down the grout until it has been dried for the most part, and then you can dry it, because if you try to use a damp cloth and wipe it down, wipe down the excess, you can pull out some of the grout. So you kind of want to wait for it to dry up. And the other tip, you don't have to do the first painting with black and Mod Podge or black and gloss medium. You can do a burnt umber, you can do a dark brown. It really all depends. For this particular one, I'm trying to match a particular wall, and I do want it to be dark, but it doesn't have to be so dark. There are some bricks that pop a little bit more. You can also paint certain ones darker, paint certain ones lighter. I didn't have to do that. I'm super happy with the way it turned out. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you have any questions or you want to leave a comment, share this video. Please do not forget to like, comment, subscribe, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Peace.